Most people think intimidation comes from aggression, a loud voice, dominance, control, but in real life, the people who make others the most uncomfortable are often the quiet ones, the men who do not over-explain themselves, the men who stay emotionally steady in tense rooms, the men who do not rush to be liked, because insecurity has a strange relationship with calmness. It does not know how to measure it. A deeply insecure person understands visible weakness. They understand emotional reactions. They understand defensiveness. They understand approval seeking. But calmness creates uncertainty, and uncertainty makes insecure people nervous, especially when the calm person is a man, not because he is trying to dominate anyone, but because emotional restraint quietly exposes emotional instability around him. A calm man walks into a room and says very little, not out of arrogance, not out of social anxiety. He simply does not feel the need to constantly perform his identity, and that alone unsettles people who built their personality around external validation, because insecure people are always scanning the room emotionally. Who is admired? Who is accepted? Who is reacting? Who is losing status? Their nervous system is constantly negotiating social safety. So when they encounter someone who does not seem emotionally desperate for approval, it interrupts the entire social rhythm, especially in modern environments where most people are unconsciously competing for attention. At work, you see this often. The calm employee speaks carefully, does their job well, does not gossip much, does not emotionally chase managers, does not panic under pressure. And strangely, this person often becomes a target, not openly at first, but subtly. People become colder toward him, more suspicious, less relaxed around him, because competence combined with emotional control creates psychological pressure. It forces insecure people to compare themselves internally, and when someone else appears emotionally self-contained. What makes this more uncomfortable is that calm men rarely defend themselves emotionally in the way insecure people expect. When accused unfairly, they often pause before responding. When insulted, they do not immediately escalate. When excluded socially, they notice it, but do not beg for re-entry. And insecure people misread this constantly. They think, he thinks he's better than everyone. But many calm men are not operating from superiority. They are operating from exhaustion. Life taught them emotional economy. They learned that constant emotional reacting solves very little. So they became quieter, more observant, more selective with words. And over time, this emotional restraint starts looking intimidating to people who rely heavily on emotional noise. Because emotionally reactive environments depend on visible participation. People trust what they can read quickly, smiling constantly, talking constantly, explaining constantly. But calmness delays emotional access, and insecure people often interpret delayed emotional access as hidden judgment. This becomes even more intense among men. Modern masculinity created a strange contradiction. Men are expected to appear confident, but not too detached. competent, but still socially accommodating, emotionally controlled, but constantly reassuring others. So when a man becomes genuinely calm, people often project onto him. They assume arrogance, coldness, ego, hidden hostility. Because many people have never learned the difference between emotional stability and emotional distance. A calm man does not always feel the need to prove warmth immediately, and that ambiguity unsettles insecure personalities, especially those who depend on controlling social perception. What intimidates insecure people most is not power itself. It is emotional independence. The feeling that someone does not emotionally need the room. That changes social dynamics instantly. Because insecure people unconsciously gain comfort from dependency. They feel safer around people who overshare quickly, who seek approval visibly, who emotionally negotiate for acceptance. Calm men often do none of this, and the silence creates projection. People begin inventing motives for him. He's judging everyone. He's hiding something. He thinks he's smarter than us. But often, he is simply conserving emotional energy. There is another reason calmness intimidates insecure people. Calm men tend to react slowly, and emotionally reactive people fear delayed reactions because delayed reactions feel unpredictable. If someone instantly gets angry, insecure people understand the emotional map. But if someone stays composed, watches, thinks carefully before speaking, the insecure mind starts filling the silence with imagined threat. This is why emotionally stable people are often misunderstood in dysfunctional environments. Their restraint accidentally exposes how emotionally chaotic the environment really is. And people resent mirrors they did not ask to look into, especially in workplaces, especially in male social groups, especially in environments built on subtle status competition. A calm, competent man can unintentionally trigger insecurity without saying anything harmful at all, just by existing without visible desperation. And eventually, many calm men notice this pattern. They notice people becoming defensive around them before real conflict even exists. They notice passive aggression from emotionally insecure coworkers. They notice how confidence is accepted more easily when it is loud, entertaining, or socially performative, but becomes threatening when it is quiet. Because quiet confidence cannot be easily measured, and people fear what they cannot emotionally control. Over time, many calm men become even quieter because of this. Not from bitterness, but from recognition. They realize not every environment is emotionally mature enough to interpret calmness correctly. So they stop trying to constantly explain themselves. They stop shrinking their presence to protect insecure people from discomfort. And this is usually the point where emotional maturity begins. The moment a man realizes being emotionally grounded will sometimes make emotionally unstable people uncomfortable, and that discomfort is not always his responsibility to fix. Real calmness is not about acting cold. It is not about dominance. It is not about becoming emotionally unavailable. Real calmness comes from emotional regulation, from self-respect, from surviving enough disappointment that you no longer need constant external reassurance to feel stable. And ironically, the calmer a man becomes internally, the less interested he becomes in intimidating anyone at all. Because true emotional strength rarely feels loud from the inside. It feels quiet, controlled, measured, almost invisible. But insecure people still feel it immediately because emotional stability has a presence, even when it says nothing.